Hey everyone, I'm Spencer.
I'm Lara, and we're Married with Board Games. For a good chunk of early Japanese history, an emperor ruled all of Japan. Then in about 1185 AD, a new form of control emerged where the leaders of different armies controlled smaller pieces of land instead of one emperor controlling everything.
Well, thank you for that history lesson.
You are welcome.
Well, and it sounds to me like it's a great setup for a card game. And luckily, we're here to talk about one that attempts to emulate just that. In the little card game Martial Art, players will engage in a series of battles in which they try to acquire enough land and power to defeat the other clans and win the game.
But can a period of history lasting several hundred years be condensed into this little box? Let's find out. Martial Art from Spider Goat Games is a hand management and action selection card game for 2 players. You can play 3 to 4 players, but you have to combine 2 decks. The game is pretty quick, lasting only about 20 minutes.
Now, you can think of Martial Art as an enhanced and themed version of the card game War. During a round, players will select a card that has a value on it, and the goal is to play down the highest value card. Whoever plays the most valuable battle card wins a land card which has a point value on it.
The first player to either reach 12 land points or 3 bridge points wins. Sounds pretty basic, right? But what this game adds are special effects that make the game not as straightforward as it sounds. In addition to those effects, Martial Art is named for the beautiful artwork that is featured on the cards.
So let's take a closer look at some of those battle cards and we'll show you what we're talking about. Alright, so this is the beautiful game that is Martial Art. Everything that you see here fits inside this box, including the rules and all the cards here. First of all, I want to tell you about the main deck. So this deck consists of different, I don't know if you want to call them factions or different types of people that's synonymous with this era. So you've got a samurai, you've got commander, shogun, emperor, ronin, geisha. And so, of course, they all have a number at the top. So that's their value when you're playing them. And so the person who has the highest number, in theory, wins the battle. But most of them have some kind of effect on them. Like this card, it says, after battle, before drawing cards, if you are the strongest player, discard a card. Or let's find the geisha. The geisha is only a 1. But anytime you can discard this card from your hand to cancel the effect of a battle or support card. And so there are many cards like the assassin. When revealed, each player with an original strength of 10 or higher has their strength reduced to 0. So some crazy things like that can really shift the balance of the game are really cool as far as the effects go. And then I want to show you about these cards over here. When the game is set up, everybody gets 4 random battle cards and a supplies card. And I just set these aside here just to show you. A supplies card, it's a 0 point value, but if you play it after battle, you can return it and draw an extra card. Because usually after a battle, everybody draws a card, but this lets you draw an extra card, so that's kind of a risk you want to take. A legend card over here, nobody gets to play with those unless somebody plays an apprentice card. So yeah, if you play the apprentice card, you're probably going to lose because it's only 2. But it says after battle, take a legend card. So you put that legend card in your hand, and then you have another card at your disposal to use. That's actually a really high card too. With most of the cards, the higher they get, they have a value that actually can hurt you. But with the legend, with it being as good as it is, it doesn't have any kind of negative effect. It is what it is. So that's really cool. And then you're doing all of this to gain control of land, these land cards. And so they're all going to have some point value. So this is a regular point value, and this is a bridge point value. As we mentioned, the first to 12 of these points or to 3 of these wins the game. So you can see they have the different point values up here. And then some of these also have effects. So the iconography is a little bit difficult, but once you get used to it, you can read what it says, and there's also a guide in the rule book. But let me see if I can find one that I remember what it means. So this one means after battle, the person with the highest value discards their hand, and then draws 4 new cards. So different things like that that can also change the way the game works. After battle, anybody who had a value of 9 or more gets to draw a card, different effects like that. So those are the land cards that you're going to be battling over. All in all, that's what you get with martial art in that little box. Okay, Lara, let's go ahead and tell everybody what we think of the game. Let's start with card quality.
Yes.
What do you think of the quality of the cards?
I think they did a great job picking just the right kind of cards for this game, because they do have to fit into such a small box, but there are a lot of cards, so it's nothing too thick.
It's a good linen finish on it.
Standard card size, but still just right that you can see all of the artwork on there and read the text as well.
Well, and that's a great transition into the artwork. It's really nice to look at.
Oh, yes.
These art pieces are, for the most part, as far as I know, actual classical art pieces.
Yes, in fact, each artist is noted in the rules, and that is, I mean, it's
so they're real historical art pieces that they use for the artwork on the cards, and then of course they enhanced them and modified them by putting text on them, and even that though is really cool. It fits the theme, and it's almost like a paintbrush doing some of the different what they added to the cards. So it really fits with the rest of the artwork. Lara, one of the things Lara likes to talk about is one of the artists, our daughter watches Little Einsteins, and one of the artists was featured on...
It's Katsushika Hokusai.
Yeah, that one.
And I'm pretty sure that this one right here is his work, one of his many. But it is iconic, it is classic, easily recognizable.
Yeah.
And so yes, it's been featured in an episode of Little Einsteins that our daughter watches, and so it made me excited I know his name.
Yeah, and so it's just really cool to have real artwork on these cards. But artwork aside, does it still make a good game?
Yes,
I would say so.
Yes, it does.
We mentioned that it is essentially at its core war. And you're just trying to play down a card that is better than the other person's.
Right.
But
those cards have effects.
Yeah.
That fit thematically with what you're playing down.
Right, because it was, as I mentioned in the talk through, you've got a Ronin, a legend, Daimo, excuse my pronunciations, a Shogun, Emperor, and so each one of those roles has an ability that fits it thematically.
Right, like there's cavalry that you could play that down after playing your initial card, and that adds 1 to your strength. Like you've called in the cavalry. Yeah. You can get an assassin. You could play down your assassin, and it makes anybody who's a level 10 or higher go down to 0.
Exactly.
And stuff like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, and on that note, it's not just thinking of the best card to play. First you're trying to outthink your opponent. If I play a 9, are they going to be able to beat me? But you're not always making that decision. You think, well, I can sacrifice this turn to play a card that lets me draw an extra card at the end of this round, so that your options are better to the next round.
Yes.
So, or there's that, you can do things to force your opponent. One of the effects is to force your opponent to discard their hand, at the end of the round. So you're making these different decisions.
Or you have to be very sure of yourself. You were mentioning the Shogun.
Yeah.
And I believe that, yes, after battle, if you didn't win a land, shuffle your highest point land back into the deck, because he brings dishonor if he loses.
Yeah.
And so you have to be very sure of yourself.
Yeah, and so a lot of risk-taking involved whenever you're playing some of these cards down. So it makes for really great decisions to make, and we really like that about it. As far as the gameplay time, it's very quick. About 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. I mean, it's just the right amount for this game. You don't want it to go too long.
Right, yeah, like you've said, it's a filler game.
Yeah, so that's really cool. And we also mentioned that for one box of one deck of cards, it is a 2-player game.
Right.
And on that note, we love it as a 2-player game. Every time we play it, Lara wins, like in many games.
I played War with my grandpa all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so she's got a leg up on me on that. But it's fun. It's fun for us as a couple to play. It's another one of those, Do I know her well enough to know what she's going to play, or do I?
Maybe this turn I should sacrifice and play my scout.
Yeah.
And maybe not have the highest total to actually look at your
my hand,
and see, because it's a scout card. I love that stuff.
So it's a great 2-player game. But since you can combine 2 decks to make a 3 to 4 player game, it really does make the game different.
Oh, yes, definitely, because we were very sure to experiment and play those different player counts.
So it was interesting. For a 3-player game, it actually went quick. Like, one player dominated the other 2. And I don't know how that happened, but it was very interesting because when we played a 4-player game, it was very balanced. It was a very nice tug of war, 4-way tug of war. And so we really liked that about it, that it wasn't just one player could run away with it.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a few rule differences to make a 3 to 4 player game work, but nothing major.
Right.
So they know what they're doing as far as adapting it for a higher player count.
Definitely.
So it is, it's a perfect little game, small footprint. You could take this if you're at a convention waiting in line for something, just a box. It's very portable. You just lay it down and you can play it pretty much anywhere.
Well, it doesn't take up a whole lot of room on the table either. In all aspects, not even just the box, but even just table space. It's pretty small. So bottom line, martial art is a great little battle game that is perfect for couples who are wanting to duel, but not get into too heavy of a game.
What initially caught our attention about this game was the artwork. We could not turn that game down because we knew at the very least it would be easy on the eyes.
And luckily, there is so much more to the game than the artwork. With so basic of a concept mechanically, it's great to see a theme that isn't overused be executed nicely.
So if you're looking for a light filler game to play between longer sessions, or even to wind down a long day at work, martial art really fits that niche, and for that, we award it a Dice Tower seal of approval.
We're going to box this one up for now. Be sure to keep up with us on all of our social media accounts. You can find links to all of those on our website, marriedwithbg.com.
Thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye out for our next review.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.